All right, today is the last day of Chapter 7 test review. Yesterday we did stations. Today we're going to do our practice test. Okay? So everyone should have labeled your paper Chapter 7 test review. We're going to take it station by station from yesterday. Okay? These are all the different sets of directions you're going to see tomorrow. There's 6 sections. Okay? So go ahead and write this section down on your paper however you want. Okay, we're going to identify terms, like terms, coefficients, and constants on section 1. Okay, there will be 2 of these on your test. On this test, it's very important to read directions because a lot of it looks very similar. You need to read directions to know what it's asking you for. Okay, we're going to have one example for each of these. Go ahead and try this one, following the directions that you just wrote down. All right, so directions said we want to label terms, like terms, coefficients. If you abbreviated these, that's totally fine too. And last one was constants. Yep. Okay, we got to understand what these 4 things mean before we can label, right? What does term mean? What does it mean by term? Each individual piece, right? So 8x is a term. What else? What else is a term? 3, keep going. Negative x, right? Remember, subtraction also serves as negative. Okay, what else? 5x and? Good. Okay, now we need like terms. What does like term mean? Terms that are the same and can be combined at the end, yeah? So if I start with 8x, what's a like term of 8x? Negative x and 5x. Yep, they all have what in common? X, right? That's why they're like terms. Do we have another set of like terms? Yeah. What? 3 and negative 2. How many terms do you need in order to be considered like terms? 2 or more, right? Yep. Good. Coefficients, what's the definition of coefficient? What is it? There you go. Number with the variable. Okay, so we have 8x. What's the coefficient of 8x? 8. What's the coefficient of negative x? Negative 1. What's the coefficient of 5x? 5. Good. Okay, last one is constants. What does that mean? The number that stays the same. No variable, right? What are those? 3 and negative 2. Yep. Get those terms down pat, okay? There's 2 of those. So when you see those directions, first thing you do, write those 4 terms down. Okay, and then label. Okay, any questions on that one? Okay. Next section, simplifying algebraic expressions. Go ahead and write this down. It's the next section. Okay, on this one, what does it mean to simplify algebraic expressions? What does it want you to do? What does that mean? Combine like terms, right? And we want simplest form, right? Always simplest form. Okay. Go ahead and try this example. Simplify that algebraic expression. Okay, on this one, we want to follow order of operations, okay? What does order of operations tell us to do first? Parentheses. How do we get rid of the parentheses on this one? Distribute. Yep. What operation are we using when we are distributing? Multiplication. Negative 3 times 2x, negative 6x, and then we have negative 3 times negative 4 plus 12. Don't forget that second part, okay? We always get the first term, but sometimes we forget about that second term. When you distribute, you got to do both, okay? And then what do we do with this plus 10? Yep. Bring it down. Okay, and then from here, what do we got to do? Like terms, yep. 12 and 10. What do we got? Negative 6x plus 22. And how do you know when you're done? When there's no more like terms. Good. So always get rid of parentheses first by distributing. Okay? All right. 1 to 5 on that section. All right. Next section, adding linear expressions. Okay, with these, remember, linear expression, that just means x plus some number like 2. That's a linear expression. Okay? Again, it wants it in simplest form. Okay, go ahead and try this example. When you're adding these linear expressions, okay, still follow order of operations. What do we do first? What's order of operations? What do we do first? Parentheses, right? We want to get rid of those parentheses. Now, what you pay attention to is that sign in the middle. Okay, does addition change the value of anything? They're sign-wise. No? So what can we do with the parentheses right off the bat? Get rid of them, right? Addition, you can just get rid of the parentheses. 7x minus 12, what do I write next? Yep, minus 6x plus 9. Okay, remember that also serves as subtraction. Remember? Okay, from here, what can I do? Combine like terms. 7x is a like term of negative 6x. So 7x minus 6x, 1x. And then what are my other like terms? Negative 12 and 9, we get negative 3. Good. So with addition, those parentheses can just go away. You're just combining like terms, adding like terms together. Okay? Next section is subtracting linear expressions. Okay. Go ahead and look at this example. With this one, you got to watch out for that subtraction sign. How is this different from when we're adding these? Right, because what is in front of that second parentheses? Negative 1, right? So order of operations to get rid of parentheses, okay, what do we do with the first one? The first set. Right, first set, there's nothing in front we have to worry about or anything, so we can just rewrite that first set. 15x minus 10, those parentheses are gone. How do I get rid of the second set of parentheses? Right, I got to distribute this negative 1 to the inside. So we have negative 1 times negative x. Positive x, and then we have negative 1 times 12. Negative 12. Okay, you got to distribute that negative sign into both terms because we're not adding like terms anymore. We are subtracting like terms. Okay, so we have 15x plus x, 16x, and then we have negative 10 minus 12, negative 22. Yep. So think, instead of adding like terms, you're now subtracting 15x minus a negative x. And that turns into plus, remember? Okay? We got more to talk about. GCF. What does that mean? And what does that mean? What does greatest common factor mean? The highest number that can go into both terms, right? Okay, go ahead and try this example up here. Take it one at a time. Do the numbers first, and then do the x's, and then do the y's. All right, GCF, take one at a time. 18 and 24, what do we think?
6.
Does everyone agree with 6?
Yeah.
Did anybody get anything different?
He got 8. He got 8.
Okay, again, if you didn't know for the numbers, what do? Factor tree, right? 6 is correct. Okay, now we need to look at the x's. One of them has 2, the other one has 1. How many do they have in common? They have 1 in common. Take the lowest. X. And then y's, they have 1. This one has 2. How many do they have in common? They have 1, right? Okay, so think of this. There's one has 2 x's, the other one has 1. How many do they have in common? Only 1. Okay, same thing with the y's. We said they had 1 in common. Okay? 1 to 5 on section. Last section is factoring. Just write factor. Okay? And go ahead and try this example. When it wants you to factor, what do you want to look for first? Greatest common factor first. Take numbers first. What's the GCF of 8 and 20?
4.
Does everyone agree with 4?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, with the x's, everyone pay attention. Okay, one of them has 5, the other one has 2. We want to know how many they have in common. Okay, they have 2 in common. You always take the smallest one. Always take the smallest one. So we have x squared. Again, if you can't remember, write 5 x's on top and then write 2. How many do they have in common? 2 in common. Okay. Now, once we have the GCF, what do we do next? Divide. 8 divided by 4? 2. And then how many x's do we have? Right. Take 5 minus 2 to get 3. Okay. Second one, we do 20 divided by 4? 5. How many x's do they have left? None, right? We go 2 minus 2, and there's none left. When there's none left, what do we put? Right, end it. Put your parentheses. When there's none left, there's no x's left. Don't put any more. Okay? Any questions on factoring?
No.
Okay, any questions at all on any of the review?
No.
Okay.